All right, Coach Morehead stayed picked third in the preseason poll, getting ready to start the season. Finished third at the end of last year. So, just how about some general thoughts on your team and what you're looking forward to heading into 2022?
Looking forward to the season. I think we have a good team. I think we'll have a very competitive team. We have a few holes to fill with guys that graduated or left and things of that nature, but I feel like we have good personnel to fill them. We have some pitching that I think made really good strides during the course of the season last year and have continued to do that this year. So we're really looking forward to it and looking forward to getting out there. And unlike last year where we were all frozen up, we've been able to get out on our field and things like that. So yeah, we're just excited to get college baseball going again.
Perfect, Coach. Okay, if anybody has any questions for Coach, let me know down in chat and I'll call on you. If not, I'm just going to keep going. So you mentioned your roster and just, in this age of transfer portal and things, I know it's sort of always been there, but how do you sort of put together a roster every year when, you may have people leave you weren't expecting to leave? And is that at a disadvantage, or is there an opportunity also to fill some holes when people graduate or whatnot?
I mean, I think I like to look at everything in life as having a little bit of both sides to it, right? It's both sides to the coin and all that. So, we had guys like Bryce Henser and Corey Conway, who were really important to us last year, and Jack Gardner, who had opportunities to come back, just chose not to. They kind of wanted to get on with their lives and find gainful employment and all of that. As you know, baseball is an equivalency sport, so we're not able to pick up the entire tab on some of these things and things like that, get into it. And, kind of getting off the subject a little bit. I'm not necessarily thrilled with where the whole college athletics landscape is right now, right? I mean, I think that on one end of the pendulum, which we've been in for a really long time, I think is that, there probably wasn't enough autonomy given to players. There probably wasn't enough, I mean, if you go back to the whole, you can have a bagel, but you can't have the bread, the spread to put on it, rules of the NCAA, they were arcane and most often really stupid. But I think that we have swung way too far to the other direction, right? Where schools, administrators, coaches, players, I think basically everybody involved with college athletics now is a free agent. And I'm not sure exactly where the educational component comes into all of that sort of thing. So as it relates to roster stuff, I think it's challenging because I think you have loyalty in your team for really one season. I think it's important to make good relationships with kids and hope that that they're having a good positive experience while still not compromising some of the things that you think are important as part of this, as part of using baseball as an extension of the classroom type of a thing, which is something that I really believe in. So it's challenging, but it certainly does give kids opportunities. It certainly gives kids opportunities to potentially seek what might look like greener pastures someplace else. But by and large, I think for us anyway, last year, I don't think that there were a ton of surprises in who was coming back or who wasn't coming back. They had been really forthright with it, and I give them a lot of credit for that. And so we kind of knew what our roster was going to look like for the most part, and are excited about it.
Well, I queued you up for that. And before we got a question I'll go to. Let's talk about who is coming back, including Jackson Feldner, who was a preseason All-American, OVC Freshman of the Year last year. Was that a surprise this season he had, or is that what you were expecting for him going into last year?
I don't know that you ever expect to have a kid have a season like Jackson did, right? Regardless of whether he's a returning kid or a freshman. I mean, I think it's remarkable that he was a freshman and was able to do that. He is an incredibly hardworking kid. He is certainly really skilled at the plate. And he is, I think this is an important piece for freshmen to have success. I think that he's pretty comfortable with who and what he is. He's not out there trying to impress anybody. He holds himself to high standards and he tries to work to achieve those standards. But he's not getting all banged up about what people might say or what the coach might think or all of those different types of things. And I do think that takes a level of maturity that is a little bit uncommon. And so we're excited to have him back. In our preseason scrimmages and things, he started to really swing the bat. So I feel like I think he's in a pretty good place to start the year. And, but to expect, 390 with whatever it was, 12 bombs and, all that kind of stuff, I don't know who the heck you expect that of.
Let's go to question. Van Stokes from the Austin P Radio Network has a question.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing this morning?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I came across you when we traveled up to Notre Dame a few years ago, and plus I think you've also got a background out of Athens, Ohio, if I'm not mistaken, as do I, from the same program. So it's good to catch up to you. I'd like to know what the biggest adjustment you've had to make since coming into this position at Morehead State.
Probably the biggest one is we don't have as much stuff, right? But I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I've had to adjust to living in Kentucky, and again, that like most things in life, there's good and bad with that. I've had to adjust to better weather. Mostly that's good, but I've enjoyed the league. I think that the group of coaches are a really good group of coaches. I enjoy a little bit that there's not sort of the pomp and circumstance and a little bit of, like egos involved that maybe there have been in some other leagues that I've been in. And I've really enjoyed the people and the players that I work with. It's especially the players, they, if something goes, if there's not hot water in the locker room one day, which happens from time to time, they don't seem to get all banged up about it. It's just another roadblock that they keep going. It's kind of it's a gritty group. It's a gritty group and it's a fun group to be around. So that part's been really enjoyable. But in terms of like adjustments, for the most part, it's still coaching. It's still trying to develop players both on and off the field. So it hasn't been huge.
Okay, last question, Coach. If you could take a key and unlock the door to your biggest question about your team, what might that be? What is your biggest question mark that you've got to solve to get to where you want to get to this season?
Well, I mentioned guys like, Jack Gardner and Bryce Henser, Steve Hill, Jason Go, Corey Conway. So those are 5 guys that, if you just like sort of broke down their individual skills, you wouldn't be super impressed with Jason Go's velocity or, how far Bryce Henser might be able to hit a ball or different things of that nature. But all 5 of those guys could really play, right? When it came time to when it came game time, those guys, they played well above what their tool set was like. And I think we've replaced them with kids whose tool sets, I think you could probably argue might be better, but I think the biggest question mark is how are they going to react when the game is actually, where it counts for something, right? And so they've done really well to now, but there's a difference between when the stats are actually like in place and what I can delete off of the stats that I'm keeping on my computer for fall and preseason.
I understand. I appreciate that response very much. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, I think we got time for one more. So this year, the OVC tournament's right down the road from you. So if you all are there, obviously, can you talk about that? I know it's a neutral site, but it'd be close to Morehead.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. We have to drag all you Central Time guys and come on over here to, the Eastern Time and make you wake up a little earlier. It's a beautiful park. I actually live in Lexington, so it'll be a really easy commute for me. But I think it'll be great. The Legends are, they do a really good job, and like I said, it's a beautiful park, and it's Lexington. I have found to be it's a really good city with lots of things to do. Whether guys want to go over and tour Keeneland, I don't think that the racing will. I think they finish in April, right? So I don't think it'll be going, but it's a beautiful place to tour. The Kentucky Horse Park, all of those things. I think it's if for the of age crowd, the distilleries and whatnot that are around, right? Someone wants to go over to Woodford or something, it would be a good place. So I think should be a great event.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time this morning, and best of luck as the season starts next week.
I appreciate it. Thanks, you guys.